Hi guys, final Midnight Club chat for the Midnight Club series. I'm going to be chatting about episodes 7 to 10, so the last 4 episodes, which I'm really excited about. Hi Melina! I'm really excited to chat about these final episodes and see what everyone thought. Right, let me add everyone in. Oh, can't spell Josh's name tonight. Hi, Karen. Hi, Josh.
Oh, hello. I'm here.
Hello. Are you
How are
sure?
you? I know it
Yeah.
was a bit of a surprise.
Oh, hang on a second. Just adding Emma in. I
It's
know it's a
really
bit
stormy here, so I apologize if
stormy.
my signal. Yeah.
Emma, we got the spooky chair.
I know. I tried to turn it around, but I still can't work out why it keeps looking at the spooky chair
I
with
can't see
pumpkins
Emma
on it
at
this
all.
time.
I liked it. Oh, is it still stormy out there? Is it?
Yeah, it is. It is a bit. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
still raining, a bit windy, but the lightning and the thunder's stopped.
Oh, we've got nothing
Oh,
here. It's like all
No?
boring. No storm. Well,
Oh,
not that I've heard.
where's
um.
Josh?
Oh, he's like going round in a circle.
Oh, I was like, I've only got this like blank space. I thought, where's Josh? Can you see?
Right.
Come back to Josh.
I'll just try and add Tonna in. I know she's been having problems with Instagram. So she might not be able to join us, and she's not actually live on set because she's like a costume and concept designer. So
Oh,
she's live
cool.
on set at the moment, and they're not allowed mobile phones. So I think she was going to like duck out. So she might.
Yeah.
I've sent her an invite, so she might just join us at some point. Let me add Josh back in. We lost Josh. Here we
Come
go.
on, Josh.
Oh, Eddie May said it's storming in Virginia right now too. Oh, interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
twinsies.
Oh no. Oh, maybe we might get the storm a little bit later.
Yay,
Yay, he's
Josh!
back.
hello. Sorry.
It's all right. It's okay. I was just saying, Tonna, Christopher Pike Rocks, she's working on set currently, and she's a costume and concept designer, so she might jump in at some point, because they're not allowed mobile phones on set. So yeah, I'll see if she joins us, and she's been having problems with Instagram as well. So, but if not, it would just be the three
That's
of us.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll send her a little invite so she's got it. If and I'll keep an eye out if she pops up. But yeah, so tonight we're going to be chatting about the final 4 episodes. We're here already. Final
Oh,
4. Oh, can't
can't
believe
believe
it.
it.
Can't believe it. So yeah, so today we have the brilliant Emma, and Josh is back.
Yay!
Yay!
Hello. I missed you.
Oh, we
We
missed
missed
you
you.
too. Oh yeah, we did miss you. It was
Oh,
like it was nice. We had John and Daniel on, but it was weird not seeing you like in the corner of my screen. It was so strange.
oh, those guys are
Yeah.
great.
Oh, they
Oh,
were
they're brilliant.
brilliant. It was such a good chat. We could have carried on for like ages as well, but the time was getting on. so so this is the final time I'll do my dodgy chant of raising our
Oh,
little
yeah.
glass. I've got a spooky glass tonight. So to those before, to those after, to us now, and to those beyond, seen or unseen, here but not here. Cheers! We'll have a little sippy. Oh, mine's fizzy. I wasn't expecting it to be fizzy.
Oh,
I thought it was just like flat water. And I'm still running a giveaway for 5 copies of this Netflix Tyne edition, thanks to the publisher. So it's on my feed. So and Emma's got a copy. Do
oh,
check
jealous.
out. Yeah, do check it out. And as long
Get
as
it, get
you're
it.
UK and Ireland, I will do an international giveaway because they're coming from the publishers. They said UK and Ireland, but do check it out if you want to enter. Go ahead. Feel free. So I'll just send another invite to Donna. Just Hang on, I invited the wrong person. We might get a random person.
Hello, wrong person. Just come and join us.
Oh, wow.
Oopsies! If we get like a random person pop up, it might be Christina. Whoops! That'll be a nice surprise. So over the last 2 weeks then we've chatted about episodes 1 to 6 of the Midnight Club, and today for our last one we're chatting about episodes 7 to 10. We're going to chat all things of those episodes, Christopher Pike, and then what we thought of the series overall. So basically the Midnight Club, if we don't know, is about at a manor with a mysterious history. 8 members of the Midnight Club meet each night at midnight to tell sinister stories and to look for signs of the supernatural from beyond. And obviously it's based on the Christopher Pike novel of the same name, and Christopher Pike wrote dozens of YA thrillers and stories in the 80s and 90s, and obviously his work serves the basis of the Midnight Club. And basically, as I always say, Midnight Club is a bit of Are You Afraid of the Dark, but Flanagan style. And I liked that when I read it, so I've kept it all the way through. So, Josh, I'm really, as you weren't here last week, I'm really eager to hear, because Witch is one of your favourite Christopher Pike books, and I know you were really excited for the episode, and I know that was episode 5 or 6, I think it was. I can't remember 6. Yeah. So, what did you think? I just really want to know what you thought of it.
I thought it was great, and actually, so I think they're doing such a great job of telling the stories of the Pike books within the show. And I just thought that they just did such a clever job with Witch, because it was sort of the same but different.
Yeah.
I know that they've obviously updated and changed a few of the stories, but I don't know those quite as well as Witch, I don't think. So it was interesting to see the Witch stuff, knowing it relatively well and seeing what they had sort of fiddled around with and updated and changed. And they just did a really good job, I thought. I loved that it was a Lunker rather than Julia. Obviously, the name Julia was inspired from Witch. And it was great. It was a little bit Old School Charmed, but with a Flanagan twist to it, which was just perfect for me. I loved it.
Yeah, because obviously we'll chat about it in a bit, but we get the second kind of bit to it in episode 10. But no, I was just really, really intrigued. So it got the thumbs up from Josh, so it must have been good, because I've never read that one.
It's great. No. And actually the whole episode is one of my favorites, because I thought that they did such an amazing job of that whole sort of ceremony sequence that was the last maybe 20 minutes of the episode, maybe, where they all say really emotional, heartfelt things, and they almost sacrifice the things that really mean the most to them in order to show how much they love Anya. It was just so well done. I loved it. It's such a good episode.
It was brilliant. Oh, I'm glad you got the thumbs up. When I was watching it, I was thinking, I wonder if Josh is liking this one. So I'm so pleased. Yay! And Emma, so obviously, I think, am I right in saying you'd only read the Midnight Club as a Pike, I don't know what I'm saying today. You know what I mean.
I didn't read it as in the 80s or the night. Well, it wouldn't have been the 80s anyway, but in the 90s I didn't. So I admit I completely missed Pike, and I don't really know how I managed that, because I was always in the library, so I don't know how I managed to. And Josh, you're in London, aren't you, as well? So, and you managed to read it, so I don't know what happened.
I was the same. I didn't read that much Pike, because I think I just got sucked into the point horror, the point horror way kind of thing. But has watching the series convinced you to read more now? It's definitely convinced me to read a bit more than I have.
Absolutely, and the lovely Larissa has said she's going to send me a couple. So yay! So I will be reading. So that's
bless her. Oh, you still there,
frozen.
Emma?
She's frozen in joy.
Oh yeah, she's back.
Bye. Oh, did I go?
It's the storm.
But I thought the book was great, and I really think the show's even better than the book, I think. Just more to it.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely convinced me to read more than I have, because I didn't realise I'd read as little Pike as I had done. But I didn't realise there was so many. So I need to definitely going to be picking up more, which I'm going to read first, I think, because I really liked that
It's a really short one as well. You'll blaze through it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to read that one first, I think.
Yeah.
So episode 7 then, so it was called Anya. So brief summary. So Anya's eyes open to a strange new reality. Alonka blames herself for a crushing loss, then overhears a conversation that could change everything. So obviously this episode kind of focuses on Anya and ultimately her death. Spoiler alerts if you haven't seen Midnight Club. But those of us who read the book, we kind of knew it was coming. I was in denial. I thought, no, they're not going to do it because she was such a good character. But it's still kind of
teasing us.
Yeah, it kept teasing us. And I think I said in the chat last week, I don't reckon they're going to do it. I think they're going to kill someone else off, because I don't know. I think I just wanted it not to happen.
Didn't want it to happen.
Yeah. But it did really hit me hard, like especially with how the episode was written and executed, and especially with the glimpse of like the hopeful future from the story that they're obviously telling when she's unconscious. So it was quite an emotional episode. So what were your thoughts on it, Emma? Did you find it quite emotional?
I sobbed all through. And
yeah,
I'm not one. I'm not one for crying either. So I was just like, oh my, what is this doing to me? And I think it's so clever, because actually I was a dancer. I was a very promising dancer, and so her story always hits me right in the heart. And I got a knee complaint when I was about 14, 15. And my dance teacher was like, no, this can't happen. You're going to be in the West End. This can't happen. And I had to have an operation when I was 21. I've got 2 metal screws in my knee. So I didn't get to live my dream. And I just kept looking at her thinking, she doesn't get to even live the rest of her life, let alone her dream. And I was devastated at the time. I was completely depressed, and that was going to be my career. So when I looked at her, all I did was sob for her and and not getting to have her dream life and not getting to grow old. And I at least managed to go and get my teachers in my 30s. I went, you know what, I'm just going to see whether I actually could have taught. And I taught for a bit, and obviously my knee wouldn't let me teach for very long, but I taught for a bit and I could do it, and I was able to, so her story is right here for me, and I was choked up the whole way through. Just like, oh God, I'm sitting away, I'm watching it.
It was so emotional. And I thought they did a nice little clip of when she's looking in the window at the dancing, and then she does like the jump, and you kind of hear her leg. And I just thought that really got me, that did, because I just thought, she tried, and oh dear, the whole episode
wants
I
to
was
be the ballerina.
yeah,
me too.
Yeah,
me too.
But I was still convinced they weren't going to kill her off. I was like, no, they're not going to do it. What about you, Josh? What did you think of that episode?
Well, to begin with, I thought they did a great job of flipping our expectations and making us really confused about what had actually happened, because obviously the ritual at the end of the preceding episode was intended to cure her because she was dying. So to start the episode with where it seems as if that's actually happened and it's worked and she's now living her life, and everyone we know from the hospice has passed on. That was really clever. It was just like, okay, this is a game changer. What is actually going to happen if they are all dead, kind of thing. And I kind of did buy into it, because it's the kind of show where anything really could happen. And it was very clever in the way that it executed it. So that's great.
Yeah.
I did notice, but then I started to notice the little clues that told us that actually she wasn't alive. She was kind of experiencing the world of the stories that they'd all been telling each other, which was really, really clever. Like, I think the first one I noticed was when you saw the video game poster in the window, and then something else happens, and you start to realize that
it starts to dawn on you, doesn't it? Like just little bits at a time. It was
so
clever.
great. and that tragedy of her being able to hear her friends, but she can't speak to them, she can't reach out to them. She's not physically conscious, but she's sort of like partly mentally conscious, I guess.
Yeah.
It was really, really moving.
Yeah. They did it. They did it so well. And like even after, like when it happens, like after they do that future scene and you see all that, and then all of a sudden it's like to the bed. And then that shot, and then the whole scene after with Alonka and like the janitor man, when Alonka turns down the tissue and kind of says like, I don't want a tissue, I want to feel these tears. And you just think, oh my God. I was just a mess. I was like, pass me a tissue. Why did they do it, even though I knew it was coming? But what
was it the janitor said? The janitor said something that was really quite moving. But
I think he said, one should die proudly when it's no longer possible to live proudly, or something like that.
That's correct. He did.
Yeah. Like,
that was great.
Yeah, what a moving line. And it was just
brilliant. It was also, so for me, I didn't cry my eyes out. It was sort of like you felt the shock. I felt kind of a bit numbed by it.
Yeah.
Because you kind of live in the hope that she's going to be okay, and then when she isn't, your brain, well, my brain especially, was a bit like, what? No, that's not how it's supposed to work. That's not justice or
no.
See, I expected her to die. So I was expecting that. I didn't go into the new episode thinking that she'd lived through it. I thought there's no way she has. And so I thought, what's that? So I was completely confused. I didn't even think for a minute that she'd lived like you did, Josh. Like maybe something's worked out. That didn't even enter my mind. I was like, what on earth is going on? I had no idea. I was like, I don't know what's happening here, until those little clues. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I couldn't work out why she was at the checkout and what she was doing. I just couldn't get it. Couldn't grasp why it had gone in that direction.
It's like one of those format breaker episodes, when a show just suddenly does something. Like there was a Charmed episode when Piper thought that she was in a mental institute, and like Buffy actually did it right after
with a singing one.
They did like a mental institute one as well.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah. And
is it all real?
Exactly. Yeah. So things like that shows where they suddenly do an episode that's just like, what the hell? Like that's what this did really effectively.
Yeah. And then obviously what I liked at the start of the episode as well was there was just, I think Anya she's at the checkout and she kind of looks over and the magazine kind of indicates it's 1997. I just kind of liked that.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
That was the thing that was like, what? Yeah. 94.
Yeah. Because for me, a bit later, when they're singing the song, the Time of Your Life, which is by Green Day, that song didn't come out till 97.
So you're good at spotting a song.
You are.
To be fair, like it was me and Daniel who was talking about it, and he said, "Oh, it was weird that song," and I said, "Yeah, I agree," because obviously the time. But then now I think about it, I think it was actually quite clever because they didn't use the actual song, the Green Day song. They sang it themselves, and also because her story was in 97, did they then place that song on purpose there?
I think they did.
It was just like a nice little. At first, I was a bit like, "Oh no," and then when I thought about it, I thought that might actually be quite a clever thing to have done. Because if you think about it, the music has always been like the original artists in there, but they actually sang that. They didn't use the Green Day version. I just thought, clever. I thought that was a nice touch.
A lot of clever things. There was a lot of clever things throughout this, wasn't it? People had really sat and thought about it. The screenwriters had really thought, and the director had really thought about it.
Yeah, definitely. And did you like the scene when they like scatter the ashes into the sea? Did you find that like a nice ending to Anya's story, do you think? What do you think, Josh? I did.
I really liked it, but it was also a bit sort of like, Stanton says, "Go back to your rooms," and they're like, "We're going to go to the beach now." It was sort of,
and as if she wouldn't know they've gone.
Yeah, exactly. I thought once I'd recovered from that kind of slight silliness, I thought, yeah, it was lovely. It was really effective.
Yeah. Did you, Emma? Did you like that scene?
Yeah, I think that's what she would have wanted. I think Anya would have wanted that kind of a send off. So I thought it was good.
Yeah, no,
and it's
definitely.
a precursor to, and is it episode 10 when they're by the lake and they scatter the ashes in the lake? Then
Of course. I didn't think that. Yeah. Oh, clever, Josh. See,
it's a pretty face.
Just like a Rubik's cube.
Yeah,
It's so
clever.
Rubik's cube.
That's
what it is. It's that. I don't know how to do it. I'm going to pick all the stickers off. When I was a kid, I just picked the stickers off and stuck them on the other side. I don't know how to do these at all. Watch loads of YouTube videos on it. I still can't do it.
I can't do it either. Eddie Mays put, it was her utter aloneness for me that got me. Dreams lost and friends lost. Yeah, it was such an emotional episode, and what an amazing actress! Like, this is her first acting role apparently, and amazing. Yeah. She's going to do
incredible.
Amazing things. Yeah, absolutely. She's phenomenal.
She was fantastic. Yeah, she just you could not take your eyes off her. She was so good. And actually, I think that this episode, for me, is where the series it took a bit of a turn for me. And I think a lot of it is because Ruth Codd isn't really in it anymore.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that.
Do you know what? I am so with you there, Josh, because that was my thoughts. But we'll go into that in a little bit.
I might have a different opinion to you guys, so that's interesting.
So episode 8 then. So Road to Nowhere, which is based on this book. And I've always liked this cover, but I've never read this one. But the cover is amazing, and I don't know why it's always just been on my shelf, and I'm like, I need to read it. Yeah. So synopsis for Road to Nowhere was armed with new information, Alonka is determined to find answers. Shasta extends an intriguing offer, and the club find that the library doors get locked for some reason. Because they get busted, basically, don't they? The story within a story in this one is obviously Road to Nowhere, and it's told by Natsuki. And obviously in a different setting as well. It's not in the library because obviously they couldn't get in, but she still tells the story to is it a mesh, I think? Where they're sitting together. So, and it's one I've never read. Have you read this one, Josh?
Yeah, it's one that I read as a teenager, so I remember that it was basically entirely set within a car, with sort of like a bit of it's like a journey of the soul, isn't it? It's like the spiritual struggle of somebody.
Yeah. And so what did you think?
I couldn't remember exactly what the twist was. And I think they did a really good job in the show, which I'm guessing comes from the book, of kind of making you wonder if one of them's a devil or one of them's an angel.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I thought.
He's got a leather jacket on and he's kind of a bit rebellious. And the woman, she's sort of one in white. But she's sort of like, she's goading her, and you can't really tell if she's goading her for ill or for good intent. So I was like, are they doing devil and angel, but they're going to twist it so that actually he's the angel and she's the devil?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought they were going to twist it. Yeah,
I thought they did a really good job on it, and I loved the cinematography of it. It looked amazing. All that fog. Yeah. It looked really spooky. It looked a bit like The Fog, John Carpenter's film.
Yeah.
I loved that blue. It was really weird. Like, I just had this image in my mind when I was thinking about what the story was going to look like on film. I had this image of like blue fog, and that's exactly what they did. So I think they did a fantastic job. Yeah.
It kind of reminded me, if there was a film of Survive the Night by Riley Sager. If there was a film of that, that's kind of how I picture the setup kind of thing, like exactly like that. because I quite like that book. I know some people
great. No, I love that one.
Didn't like it, but I quite liked that one. It's set in the 90s as well, isn't it? How about you, Emma? Did you like the story of Road to Nowhere?
It's probably my least favourite, if I'm going to be honest. Yeah, it was. I agree with Josh about the atmosphere. The atmosphere was there. I did wonder whether they were devils and angels, but I didn't. I don't think I really fully got it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not sure. I get this one too much, and perhaps the book is more involved than what we saw on the screen. And Pike fans will know more than what I'm guessing. What was coming through my filter through the screen. Anyone who's read the book could probably tell me what's going on a bit further there. But I did. I was just like, don't pick up those weirdos. Never. Do not do it. You know, as much as you think, oh yeah, I want to help someone. You know, you don't know who you're helping, and you can't. So I was just like, no, don't pick them up. But yeah, I didn't. I didn't quite. I got it that it was an inner struggle, and she was listening to her inner self. But I couldn't really wrap my head around that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Kev was the same. My husband, he was the same. He said, I just don't quite get this a little bit. He said, obviously I get the ending and, you know, what it's meant to represent and all that, but I just don't, he didn't quite gel with it, which was interesting because I was like invested and I was thinking, oh yeah, I think he's going to be the angel and she's going to be the devil, because you just had that uncertainty throughout, which I thought was clever.
It was quite repetitive, though. Just the nature of the story itself is quite repetitive. They go to the same place.
Like on a loop.
It's on a loop, So it's like you either like that kind of story or you don't, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It can be quite...
No, don't get me wrong, I love Groundhog Day.
Oh, yeah, Groundhog Day.
That kind of loop is fun. But yeah, I felt quite sorry for her having to go on that loop with those weirdos in the car. I was like, oh, someone give the poor kid a break.
Yeah. Oh, God. I know I was talking to John, who was with us last week, about the episode, and I think he felt they'd missed quite a lot of the book out, I think, from what I remember. But I guess like it's given us a taster of the book to try and to then go away and read it. So that's kind of what I like about these stories. They're giving you a taster without giving too much away of the book. Obviously, give me a kiss that they did like the whole thing and Wicked Heart, but they're giving you like a little taster of it to then still enjoy the book after, because there's obviously more to the books, and I kind of like that. It doesn't just give it all away in one foul swoop kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that this story in particular is where the show, it's the first time the show did someone telling a story that was explicitly about them, I think. You know, previously it was a bit more, you weren't really certain, you weren't completely sure if they were about themselves.
Yeah.
You don't think that, oh my God, I've forgotten everyone's name. And Kevin. So like Kevin, clearly he's not a serial. Well, we think he's not a serial killer. Whereas Road to Nowhere,
you never know.
Well, I know. Road to Nowhere, the story, you kind of feel like Natsuki was like, that kind of did essentially happen to her with a bit of like, you know, creative license.
Yeah. And obviously it's like as Melina, She Gathered Books says, Melina's put, I thought the depiction of depression was so heartfelt, and that's what it was. She was explaining a bit of her past and her depression and how she feels to Amesh. And I think like, do you think, because obviously the whole episode kind of covers like a lot of feelings, you know, depression and suicide, as well as like acceptance as well, when Spence goes and talks to his mom, which was another heartbreaking scene. But do you think they covered these kind of topics like well, in your opinion, or do you think they could have done a bit better, or what do you think, Emma?
I think they did. Obviously, I can't even come anywhere near Spencer's experience. I'd have no idea how that feels at all. To go through a parent just kind of abandoning you for no good reason, in my opinion. Because I've brought 3 children into the world, and I couldn't imagine just something as silly as your faith pushing a barrier between you and your kid. There's no barrier between you and your kid. There can't be. So I can't pretend that I understand any of that and what he was going through, or his mother and what she was doing. But the other one, yes, because I think everybody struggled with mental illness at one point in their life. Everybody, it will touch almost everybody. And I did in my 20s, and I think that, I think it was handled very delicately. And they also put a little, I noticed a little thing up at the end saying, if you've struggled with these problems, then you can call these, and if you do struggle, anybody, the Samaritans are very good. I had a very dark day once, and I phoned them up, and they're amazing. And then I was like, right, oh God, I've used their service, and it's, you get that side of, I shouldn't have used it, and then I sent them 20 quid. I was like, I shouldn't have used it, but it was a 10-minute call that absolutely changed my life. The woman on the other end has been trained, and they're amazing. And if you ever need to call them. Don't feel embarrassed or ashamed or anything like that. Just give them a ring. That's what they're there for, and they're amazing people. They do amazing things. So I thought that was really good that they put that up afterwards. If you're struggling, then reach out. Do reach out.
Yeah, do reach out, definitely. I totally agree with that. You couldn't said it. You've said it so brilliantly, Emma. Well done. How about you, Josh? Do you think they dealt with like sensitive topics really well in this episode? Do you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's the thing that the show as a whole does really, really effectively, is when the focus is on the characters and their emotional state and their emotional development. That's when the show really works, when two characters are kind of talking about something and trying to understand it, and like we see Ilonka, she's definitely somebody who's sort of like in denial, and you fully understand that, you completely know why she would be that way. And I think the show does a really great job of the ways that different characters react differently to similar problems, so like the girl, I've forgotten the girl's name, who her parents are like in the movies and they never turn up. Like,
Sherry, is it?
Sherry.
She's brilliant. So she's got a similar problem to Spence in some ways. Yeah. They don't necessarily care that she's gay, but they just don't care enough about her as a person to actually come to see their dying daughter. It's ridiculous. It's awful.
That's awful.
So and so she kind of seems to cope with it with humour and sort of just like this sense of, it doesn't matter to me anyway kind of thing, when it really does. And it's a lovely moment in, I think it's episode 10, when she decides to actually join the family day, even though her family isn't there. Well, she says her family is there, that's such a sweet thing.
Yeah. Yeah. We was talking last week about the wig scene, when she gives Ilonka the wig and she's had this wig made and that, and just like how amazing that scene was. It was just such a brilliant scene. It was only like a really short scene, but I wish we'd seen more of her, to be honest. Like, I'd like to have seen more of her and her story and things like that. But maybe if we get a season two. Yeah, maybe. Hopefully, because they didn't use her that much, but the moments they did use her were really impactful. Like, they really made an impact and made you remember her. And I agree. I think she's a silent favourite of mine, like, like a sneaky favourite. Yeah. But you don't know it's your favourite, and then you think, I really like when she did that, and when she gave him a PlayStation, even though it wasn't out. I remember the PlayStation coming out, because my brother was getting it for Christmas, and that would have been 96, 95, 96, and me and my dad opened it. We thought we had to test it out before we gave it 2 a.m. just to make sure it worked. I don't know if he knows that. At least he's not watching this. Well, he's on a different time zone, he won't see it. But I thought she was so sweet, and all her presents and all her gifts were very thoughtful. Yeah, no, definitely. And I'm the same with the PlayStation thing, because my brother was absolutely obsessed, but he used to always get like he would never get like the UK version. He'd always get like a foreign version, because he got it sooner. So like all of the instructions and the games were in like a foreign language. So we didn't understand what we were doing. I think there was like a shooting one, like on the Sega Master System or something. And it was every time it was like one of them fairground ones where it comes across.
Oh yeah, like shooting ducks or shooting balloons.
But every time you fired, it said something. It must have been like, well done or something, but we didn't understand
you didn't know
what was going on. Every time. GameCube, different language, everything.
No.
It was just, it was crazy. I think
wait.
he still does it. It's like a habit that he
But is he
got
like
into.
fluent in like Dutch or something?
God no.
in all different languages.
Honestly,
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing was when he got like a Mario game and like it's just like crazy. He's like,
I love that.
Yeah, I don't know why he did it, but yeah, he did. But it's always
Doesn't
like
affect the gameplay.
it's always fun to tell when he brings like a new girlfriend to meet me. I tell all these like little stories about what he did when he was younger. Evil.
Evil Shelley.
I know. It's quite funny. Bless him. He sits there going like this up there. So Melina's put Sherry has the kindest heart, and I agree. She shines when she's in the story. Severely underused character. Perhaps they didn't realise what a connection people would have, or maybe it's a plan. Maybe
Definitely
there's a plan to it.
Never Eddie Munson thing. They didn't realise what they had with him at all.
Yeah.
They even left him out of the tarot deck, which was like, you know, he wasn't in the tarot deck. Yeah. So I was, how did you miss that opportunity to not making the King of Dice? I was like, wow. So another one that was kind of gone under the radar, but it's a firm fan favourite.
Yeah, definitely. And Eddie May's put, I sometimes forgot that these kids were dealing with not just dying, but all the life stuff while they're waiting to pass. So the bravery to talk about their things was heartbreakingly beautiful. Yeah, it really was. Like, it was so cleverly done. It really was really clever. So episode 9 then. So that's the Eternal Enemy. Another one that I hadn't read. And you read this one, Josh?
I think I did. When it started, I remembered like the video recording thing.
Yeah,
but I couldn't remember anything about it.
Yeah, and John, who was with us last week, he was telling us because he got to interview Pike back in the 90s, and he got sent a few like cover art things, and he actually got sent the cover art for this, which he's put up on his feed now. But beware, it shows a spoiler, a massive spoiler. So it's the same, but there's a massive spoiler on it.
Wow.
So they had to pull that cover and change it to, I'm guessing, this one, or a different one. But yeah, if you have a little look, you'll see it's like a huge spoiler.
I'm guessing it's like a robot thing.
It's like, it's cool cover art, but imagine if it went out and then people were like, oh. It was quite interesting. But yeah, so this episode kind of covers Kevin confessing he's been seeing things, and then Alonka, it says, I've made a spelling mistake somewhere, but I've put news sends Alonka away from Brightcliffe, and an optimistic Shasta urges her to go back. So there's a lot that happens in this episode. So the episode obviously opens with us finding out that Sandra is going home, which that happens in the book, right? In the Midnight Club book. Yeah, I thought it did. I was like, oh, I remember that. And essentially she's been misdiagnosed. Alonka thinks it's her going home. She's got that hope in her that she's the one that's going home. But round the table, Sandra obviously confesses it's her. And everyone's beliefs are kind of like crushed. So what are your thoughts about this? Do you think that they'll carry on with the storyline? If we get a season 2, will they carry on with the storyline that it was misdiagnosis? Or do you think there's something weird that happened with that ritual? Because I know we've gone off the book track kind of thing and it's going into its own kind of story. But what do you think? Because they're not going to write Sandra out if they have a series 2, surely. What do you think, Josh?
I think that all the ritual stuff, all of that kind of history and, getting better miraculously, I think it's all just going to be smoke and mirrors. And it's actually, I mean, I don't know if the show actually will state outright if it's wrong or right, but it's definitely sort of hinting at something other, something mysterious, like non-corporeally, outside of us. I guess to kind of prep us for the ending of the book, which does go quite out there. So I don't think that that's going to have like a real presence necessarily, but it's more about the vibe of it, I think, than anything else.
Yeah. What do you think, Emma? Do you think that they'll carry on down that route in series 2 with Sandra, with the misdiagnosis, or?
Yeah, I kind of think it'd be horrible if they brought her back and said, actually, it's come back, you're dying again. Like, I think that would be so harsh, but I wouldn't put it past them to do it because I wouldn't put it past them to bring in ones that have passed on to come back. Actually, like we don't know what they're going. Anya might come back as a ghost. I don't know what they're going to do.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, imagine if she found a way to communicate, and if anyone was going to, it would be her. So she's got the biggest mouth.
Did she already?
Exactly. Did she? So anything could happen. Yeah, I've no idea where they would go with it. I couldn't even. Now, normally I can pick up and think, as a writer, I can look at it and think, I know what they're going to do. I was completely thrown by everything going on in this. And I had some ideas, but I couldn't even say to you where I would go with a second series. There's so much you can do.
That's like really interesting, actually. Like, so as a writer, so obviously both of you are brilliant writers, and like as a writer, when you're watching TV shows, like, is it a sign of a good show if you can't predict where it's going to go then? What do you think? Is it? Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't mean I don't enjoy things that I can predict, because sometimes I want to just be able to predict them, and I don't want my head all crazy, and I just want to sit back and go, I know where this is going, this is cool, and I'm enjoying the characters, and I'm enjoying the flow and the rhythm and everything. But so if I can't, also if it's like this and I really can't see where they're going to go with it, that's magic for me.
But also
it doesn't happen often.
There's so many tropes and so many different types of tropes, and there's so many different things you can do with tropes. So Stanton, she's kind of a bit of a trope in that you have the seemingly caring hospice sort of manager or whatever her role is, but then you sort of start to question it, and then you're not sure if they actually are going to make her into somebody mysterious or not. Like, does she know, does she not know, does she care, does she not care? And that final moment in episode 10, it still doesn't answer anything. It throws up even more questions. And I knew something was going on with her. I was like, oh, obviously we don't trust Majuli, do we? Because we know that something was going on there. But I was like, what's going on with her, though? I'm not quite. But she's such a great actress, isn't she? That
she's amazing.
I couldn't tell what she was doing there. I was like, are you good or bad? What are you doing? I couldn't get it.
That shot of her at the beginning of episode 10 when she's going up in the lift. And she's just smiling at her. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I liked that.
Yeah.
So
frightening the life out of me.
We're jumping ahead a little bit.
Sorry.
But I'm really intrigued now. Like, what do we think? Like, if there's a series 2, like, what do we think? Do we think she was part of the original cult? I think I've got a theory, but I'm wondering what your guys' theory is. Like, who is she? Who is she? Like, what's going on there? What do you think, Josh? What's your theory?
Well, I was personally a bit disappointed with the I Am Julia twist, because it's really obvious from
it's so obvious.
1. Yeah. So then I'm thinking, well, then maybe she actually isn't Julia at all, and she only said that because she knows she kind of looks a bit like her. So maybe she's not Julia. Maybe Stanton is actually Julia. There's all sorts of things they can do with that. I think season 2 will probably bring in new residents, like new kids, because there's like space, there's spaces around the table, quite literally, like sadly. So I think there'll be new kids coming in. I would be, even though I love the kids now, it depends if they do a time jump, but I wonder if they'll actually have some of them pass away in between season 1 and 2. I don't know if they would actually do that, but yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see. I actually hadn't realized that they were going to go for a season 2. So when I was watching episode 10, I was like, they've got a lot to wrap up in the next 20 minutes.
That's what I was thinking.
It's fine. They're not going to. It's fine.
What did you think, Emma? What do you think is going to happen with Stanton?
I don't know either. I have no idea. I actually think she might actually be the Julia, and I think they did something really bad down there. I don't think we know just as far down the rabbit hole goes. You know, I think that they did something. You know, she's already done. We've already seen her do something quite bad in, you know, making them drink. But I think that it might have been something maybe even worse before that. So I don't know. I'll be interesting to see where the cult thing goes. That interests me very much because that was not a part of the book. So it's something a little bit extra, which I like.
Yeah. So my kind of theory, but it might be flawed, so I'd have to probably go back and watch just to see if I did clock it correctly. But you know, when they showed all the cult side of things, so obviously the I forget her name, so the woman, whatever woman was standing in the middle that the young Julia Jane goes to see and find. So obviously her daughter was one of the cult people. So, and I thought that her daughter died during that scene, but then in the scene when Julia Jane goes to see her, she says, I don't know where my daughter is. She doesn't talk to me. So my theory is that is her. So Stanton is her daughter. That's what I'm thinking.
They look really similar. I think they cast that quite well because she could be her mother.
Yeah. So I'm wondering whether that is going to turn out to be that cult woman's daughter, and then obviously. Whether she's still doing the cult ritual and stuff. It'd be so interesting. I'd love to see Heather Langenkamp doing like some culty stuff. That would be so cool.
Because they've got a history, those two. You could tell when she came in to get her. You could tell there was a very deep history there. So I was like, what is this?
She knew the ceremony.
Yeah.
So are we supposed to think, because she takes her wig off, so are we supposed to think that she is also a terminal sufferer?
Oh,
I think so.
Yes.
And so she's there. And what's she up
maybe she, this sounds really bad, but maybe she has the kids come there who are ill because it makes her better or something like that, like some twist, and like that's her sacrifice. I know that sounds awful, but do you see what I mean?
She's sucking the life out of them.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, it's made me quite excited for a possible
I just think it's all
series
going to be I think it's just going to be a massive MacGuffin, and we're actually getting caught up in it when really we're doing what Ilonka is doing, where she wants to believe that stuff so badly, but the reality, because the reality is so bleak. You know, I think all of this stuff is sort of like ornamentation that's meant to distract you. Like the thing for me that the show did so well was the character stuff. And it was interesting. I think it was at the end of episode 7. Hang on. So there's the end of the episode where she overhears Stanton saying one of them's going to be going home. I think that's episode 8.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think that it's really interesting when a show that is so good at naturalistically exploring relationships then feels the need to like throw some plot in, or like start to do plot rather than character. So that moment for me felt like it was from a completely different show. For me, it really jarred because the show hadn't at that point been about big surprising shock narrative twists. it was purely about the characters and their emotional problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I agree with
Yeah,
that.
so that happened in the book. So, but that she knew that someone was going to go. And so I think they just threw that bit of the book in there. It did feel like they'd just gone click, 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 click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. It's some plot.
Yeah.
Karen's put, but they also told her to tell stories and make them super badass, and maybe she's the real narrator. So I'm guessing that's about. Was that about
Stanton.
Anya, I think, or Stanton? Yeah. Yeah, maybe she could be. And Karen's put as well, I think Julia J is actually a demon sucking the life power of all the residents over the ley lines. So
there
she
you
can
go.
live forever.
There you go.
Yeah, I've read too much point horror, perhaps, Karen's put. Yeah. And Melina's put
theory.
Stanton burned the cult book, though. Yeah, she did burn the cult book. So
But
maybe my
did
theory might be.
Did she have a copy?
Or could it be a
There's
book
a
that
copy.
never... Did she photocopy it? Or like, yeah.
It's all
we
up
would
here
never
anyway.
know. Yeah, it's all there. She doesn't need no book. Or maybe like she's trying to give it up. She's trying to give up the cult rituals that she has to do. But yeah, you never know. You never know. But what did you think of the whole? I know Josh just mentioned about the Julia Jane thing with Shasta kind of being the reveal, and I did feel it was a little bit of a like, well, I kind of guessed that kind of thing. But what did you think of the whole thing when she conned the way into the house and started doing the ritual? Like, I was like really worried about Alonka. I was like, no, Alonka, don't do it. And then obviously Stanton comes and drags her out, and then you kind of don't see her again. And that was kind of the issue. Yeah, the issue I kind of had was I wanted a little bit more then of that storyline, because I was invested at that point then, and I wanted a little bit more of it, even though it had come to like a bit of a natural end. But what did you think of that whole Shasta storyline, Emma? What did you think?
Oh, I liked it.
You liked it?
I liked it, yeah.
I liked the storyline. I just wanted more.
I think that's what they did it on purpose. I think they've left it open like that on purpose, because I was like, what are you doing? You can't end it like that. What are you doing? Stop that. Because I was like, I'm desperate to know now. And I'm just, what? Why did you do that? But it's funny that you were saying that don't do it, Alanka, because Alanka's already dead. Yet we're trying to stop her from dying still, because we don't want her to suffer in that way. You know, we know she's already gone. You know, she's not got long, but we don't want to see her suffer. We don't want her to go, cut her time even shorter. So I was like, don't drink it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And that just shows like how attached we are to the characters after only like a few episodes. You're absolutely attached to these characters, and it's like that in the book though, isn't it, as well? You do get really attached and care.
I was really glad that they didn't do Spence dirty like they did in the book.
Yeah.
He did not murder anybody. So I was really, really pleased with that that they didn't make that happen. I was like, but I did think that with Amesh, he's kind of quite jokey, and I feel like they kind of split Spence into two people and had part of him be Amesh to get the extra character in there, because in the book Spence was very much like Amesh. He was always mucking about and telling the stories where everyone gets shot up, and that's why I liked him. I liked his stories. But I think they may have split to get the two characters. And I'm not sure. I like both of them, but I'm not sure whether you lose a bit of, if you've read the book, lose a bit of Spence there.
Yeah. And talking about Spence, obviously he told the story of the Eternal Enemy. So what did you think of the story, his story that he told? What do you think, Josh? I loved it. I thought it was good.
Come on, Josh, what are you going to say? I bet it's different to me.
I loved that it was like they put a queer spin on the story. I loved that it was Spence and another guy. That was brilliant. I love the concept. I loved the really clever visual nods to like Terminator. Like there's a bit where there's a grill that does that, which is the opening of Terminator 2 that happens in T2. Very clever. It lost me at the end. I thought the end of that story was didn't really make sense to me.
I got a little bit confused.
I was like, this scene is going on for a long time and I stopped caring about 5 minutes ago. Yeah, I loved it to a point, and then I've suddenly just checked out.
Oh, how about you, Emma? Did you like Spence's story?
Well, I love RoboCop and Terminator, to a lesser extent Time Cop, not so much. But I like that they meshed all three of those concepts into one thing. And I was like, oh, look at the posters. And then I was like, hang on, what's going on here? I was like, you're the Terminator. This is Time Cop. You're RoboCop. You know, I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so they've taken all these three stories and smashed them all together. It'd be interesting to see if that's what Pike did in the book. And it was, you know, a similar thing to all those three movies. But I loved it. I really did like it. But like Josh, by the time he'd sort of tasered him with the light bulb, I was like, I'm bored now. I like the fact that I think the videotape was great, that he was seeing the future, and then it went off into some weird time travel-y Terminator coming back to John Connor concept, and I was like, I don't know what's happening now.
And I think for the first time it felt like the story didn't quite mesh with emotionally what the character was trying to convey in like the real world. It just felt a bit like, what are you actually trying to say, Spence?
It wasn't quite right.
But then Melina's just put, it was nice to see Spencer happy in a relationship, even if it was in a story. So maybe that was the point of it, was just to show that, you know, to show that side maybe, but just in a different way.
But it's slightly got lost in the kill your gaze trope a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So for all the good representation, they still don't end up together at the end of the story.
No, that's true.
No. And I did notice that trope as well. I was like, oh dear. Here we go.
I was just a bit confused. I was a bit confused at the end. I was a bit like, oh, wait, hang on. What I had to say to Kev, what's going on a little bit, because I was just got a little bit lost. But that's not unusual for me. I do get lost sometimes. But yeah, Melina's
lost sometimes.
Yeah, I get lost a lot.
Never get in the car with Charlotte.
Oh God, no! Yeah, definitely. I have to have a sat nav to go anywhere. It's terrible.
Wait, I just turned right.
You joke, but that is a true story.
We're supposed to be in the ocean, or you know.
Oh dear, yeah, I'm really, really bad. And Melina's put, and just being a teen in love for the first part of the story. Yeah, that was nice, and
that was sweet.
Yeah, and I loved the scene as well when Mark, the nurse guy, takes him to his group of friends, like just showing that, you know, he's not on his own and he can be part of a little family of friends. Like, I just thought, I love Spence. I did really love Spence.
It was weird seeing him without the wedge 90s afro in the story.
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
Totally different.
It does look different.
It did look so different, yeah. I think whoever did like the hair and makeup was brilliant, because it's like
so many wigs in the show.
It's like Kevin in the Wicked Heart. Like he looked totally different to like the Kevin that we know from Midnight Club, and he just played such a good psycho.
If be Rigney, he's going to be such a star, because he's amazing. Was so different, and he's terrifying in the Wicked Heart.
Yeah, I'd like to see him in like a really good like serial killer, like kind of horror, like really good. I think he'd play it really well.
Yeah.
So episode 10 is called Midnight, which is obviously the last episode, which we've touched on a little bit. But the episode kind of ends with like a lot of unanswered questions. One of them we've chatted about, which was Stanton. But you've obviously got Kevin and the sleepwalking and like the ghostly lady that Alonka imagines him to be, I'm guessing. And then what's going on with the mesh, because obviously his health was really deteriorating. And what happened to Shaska was one of my big things. Like, I need to know what happened. So what did you think of episode 10? Just in general, like, was it a good ending to the series, Josh?
I like that they finished 2 stories, because you were really waiting for those. It had been 5 episodes for both of them, I think. So they were left us hanging for a long time, and I thought they both tied up really well. The Wicked Heart stuff, because I think that it had stopped being as so much of a horror show by this point. To then have the Wicked Heart stuff come back was really quite effective, because it's really horrifying. Because I think the first half of the show really was a horror show, and then it slowly, I think because of the genre of the stories they were telling, it stopped being quite so horror-y. So to bring back the Wicked Heart was great. I loved the end of Witch. You know, I love the way they flipped Witch around a little bit. It's different in the book. I'll let you discover that for yourselves.
Okay.
But essentially it's the same, but it's also different. So that was really well done. By this point, you know what, I'm really sorry, but I was starting to get quite annoyed at Alonka. She was starting to get on my nerves. I think she was doing things that were quite 90s teen drama stupid. Like, don't tell anyone that someone's going home, and she immediately goes and tells Kevin, and then she goes and tells the entire group. But she doesn't do it. She does it for quite selfish reasons. So she starts to become quite unlikable, which might be sort of intentional. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you. No, you're there. I can hear you.
You're still there, Josh.
Still there. Joshy,
no.
You're still there. You are still there. We can see you.
Hello.
Oh, bless you. Oh, I can still hear you. Oh, his little face has froze. Oh,
yeah.
He'll be back. He'll be back, like the Terminator.
I'll be back. Yeah.
How about you, though, Emma? What did you think of the last episode? Were you satisfied?
No, I was just completely unsatisfied, because how can you leave it like that? But on what Josh was saying about Alanka, I found her in the book to be insufferable. I did not like her character at all. I felt like they made her much more likable in the series. So I understand where Josh was coming from. She was much more like the book towards the end there. Just much more of much more of herself. When she was rude to Kevin's girlfriend, he's back.
He's back. That's all right.
Yeah, that was much more the Alanka that I knew from the book. So I liked her better up until that last point, what Josh was talking about. And then she became the unlikable character that she was in the book. She did some awful selfish things in the book. And so I was like, okay, here you are. Hello. Yeah. That's the real you. So I hope that, I think she's got a kind heart, but I think she's just terribly desperate to live. And that kind of desperation can turn you into, that kind of person who will just say anything, because your mind's probably not even working straight. You probably can't even think about anything other than I'm going to survive. It's got to be me, and poor girl, it wasn't her. Must have been devastating.
No, definitely.
I thought the only scene that I really felt for her was when she was screaming at Catherine, which I think happens in the book as well.
Yes.
Because even though she was being awful, you completely empathise with her. I think it was right after she'd found out that she wasn't the one who was going to live. And she's basically running off to see Shasta. And so that's the moment where I was like, okay, I get what we're doing here, but it was tough. Oh my God, I'm frozen again.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Sorry, I can see swirling circles.
It's the storm. It's like woo. I think for me, episode 10. Now, don't get me wrong, right? I loved the series overall. I loved it, but I don't know for episode 10. Even though I was satisfied with like the end of Witch and the end of The Wicked Heart, and as Melina's just put, bonus points for putting Hazard by Richard Marx at the end of the Wicked Heart story, because I love that song anyway, and it was kind of the words kind of fitted.
Remember me in The Witch as well.
Oh yeah.
Just say you'll remember me. It's like hey. We're paying attention.
But yeah, I don't know what it was with episode 10. I just felt, I can't even put my finger on it. It just felt a little bit flat, even though it was full of emotion and good, and I enjoyed it. But I think I was just expecting more of like the storyline that we'd been invested in on. You know, I wanted to find out why Kevin was sleepwalking and stuff like this. And I get like they're trying to set it up for series 2, and I appreciate that. But I don't know, it just felt a little bit flat. But I had felt like that about the last 3 episodes after Anya had gone. So I don't know whether it was a me thing, thinking, because she was so good and just captured the screen every time she was on it, that I think you did notice that she wasn't there in those last 3 episodes. So it might have just been that. I don't know.
You don't think, Shelley, that the... Oh, sorry, Josh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I felt like the last 3 episodes suffered for not having her in it, because she was so provocative and she was so acerbic, and everyone else is a little bit sentimental and twee, and so you need that really acerbic presence to come in and be like, fuck you all, kind of thing. We missed her.
Do you not think the relationship between Kevin and Alanka was a bit of a letdown? Because in the book it was very, very intense at the end there, and and I felt that because in one of the stories they had them kissing in the car, they shouldn't have done that. That should have been left so that their first kiss was right at the end. And I think that impact was lost completely.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
I was really cross when they did it inside the story, in that story, and they had them kissing the car. It's like the build up to them actually finally, and he'd said to his girlfriend, actually, no, I can't do this. And that was that big thing in the book where finally they were together, and that was supposed to be. We didn't get it. Yeah. And I felt robbed.
That's such a good observation. Maybe that's what it was. There was just something just didn't sit right for me in that last episode.
I also felt like Alanka's foster dad was like the actual worst father ever, because she was trying to have emotional conversation. He was like, no. It's like, mate, you're in a hospice. You're in a hospice. You need to be there. For
need to deal
just
with it.
Fucking deal with it. Yeah, I was getting really, really at him. Sorry for swearing.
No, but all right. If you think of that in real life, his kid's being a mature one, and he's not being very mature at all.
No, definitely. And Melina's put, I liked the quieter characters came through a bit more in the last episodes. Yeah, that's a point. We did hear a little bit more from those quieter characters.
I loved Natsuki and Almash. I loved them together. That was
great. Cute.
They were great. And Eddie May's put, oh my God, Josh, yes, Alanka definitely got on my nerves towards the end. From the moment she said she thought it was her going home, and almost pitied Sandra for thinking it was her instead. So annoying, she's put.
God.
And then...
Definitely what she was like in the book.
And then Eddie May's put as well, I can understand her desperation and what Emma's saying, but her personality still came out as quite annoying. I get that. I can see that, definitely. So given like we've watched the whole series now, so what was your favourite story within a story overall out of all the 10 episodes? Is it a hard question? What do you think, Emma?
I'm going to have to stick with my original, Anya and her twin.
Yes.
That's still my favourite. That's still my favourite. I just love that. That was my favourite in the book, and it was my favourite on screen. It was just such a unique concept, such a clever idea.
Yeah, that was good. What about you, Josh? You can only have one.
I feel completely the same, actually. I think it was so great.
Yeah.
So many memorable moments in it. And also, at that point, I hadn't realised that Ruth Codd is actually an amputee, and they...
Yeah, she is.
You know, they did it so effectively that she was playing a ballerina on stage. You know, it was just so brilliantly done. But I think there are so many great moments in that. You know, like I almost called her Nancy Thompson, Heather Langenkamp coming out of the darkness with the glowing eyes and the snake tattoo, the twin stepping out from behind the mirror. You know, it was just so great.
It's so creepy.
And it's like Narissa said on our first chat, like you expect her to come through the mirror, but she comes from like behind the mirror.
In like a cheesy Sabrina kind of way, and she doesn't. She's just there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I think for me, The Wicked Heart, I absolutely loved, but I think that was more down to that. I think he is a phenomenal actor, and played it so well. But I think overall for me, I don't know what you're going to think about this, but Give Me a Kiss. Give Me a Kiss. I don't know what it was, but that's the one that has stayed in my head just because of its craziness.
Just because I thought I'd read with Kevin.
That's it.
That's it. It's the scuba gear in the bath, isn't it, Shelley?
It's the whole thing was just...
She's been boiled like a lobster.
Crazy. And I had so many questions after it, and I was like, hang on, wait, like, one, why didn't he boil in the water? What was going on? Like, and it's just stuck in my head because I thought I'd actually read that book and I evidently hadn't read it. So when I was watching it, I thought, well, this doesn't seem very familiar. And then I was just there for the ride and then for the craziness. So for me, that Give Me a Kiss episode has just made me really want to read it now because I just want to know whether the book is as crazy as that episode was. But yeah, so I think for me, maybe that story just kind of got me a little bit because it was just so wild and like
it's crazy.
Yeah, that's the only way I can explain it. Eddie Mays put the sorry, go on, Josh.
I was just trying to think of like which books are left to turn into stories. Like I know that Remember Me, he wouldn't sign the rights over for that, and I guess The Last Vampire, I would imagine he wouldn't want to sign those over. Shane Letter,
Daniel. Maybe Daniel was saying that there was 28 books he gave over to.
Yeah, exactly. But he's got like 80 books in his in his oeuvre.
Wow.
Wow.
There's plenty of material. I'd love it if they did. I know it was a point horror book, but was it Weekend, which is like the most stupid.
Oh yeah, that one I have read, and Slumber Party as well.
Yeah.
Slumber Party's crazy.
That's what I'm thinking of, Slumber Party.
Oh, is it that? Yeah. Crazy book. But that's why we love Pike. Like he does.
He's a crazy fish.
Yeah. He's a crazy fish. Boom, boom, Emma. I like it.
Why are you reading that crazy fish book?
Eddie Mays put The Two Danas was her favourite for sure, but mostly due to Anya telling the story because she was just brilliant. And Karen's put, I remember a line from Chicago Fire that if the flames hit the window, the floor is 300 degrees, so you boil in about 3 seconds. Karen's always got the facts.
Karen! Oh my gosh!
That bath would not have helped to do anything but cook him. That's it. See, this is why I was sat there like this. He should have watching it.
He should have done Indiana Jones and got in the fridge.
Yeah.
That was the one.
Yeah.
It's cold in there.
It's cold in there. Oh, funny.
Chilly. So what do you reckon was Flanagan's favourite Pike book out of those stories that he told, because he put a lot of effort into the Wicked Heart and Witch, didn't he, with like splitting them up. So are we like gonna guess that maybe it was the Wicked Heart that is his favourite? Maybe I should tweet him and see if he replies.
I think he agrees with you. I think his favourite is your favourite.
The Give Me a Kiss.
Yeah.
I'm
going to go with that.
So interesting.
I think it's the Midnight Club.
Okay.
Yeah.
See what you did there, Josh.
Very clever. Oh dear. So overall thoughts on the series, like overall. So we're excited for season 2. I'm guessing all of us. So what are your overall thoughts? Like, thumbs up, brilliant, not sure. What do you think, Josh?
Thumbs up. I love the concept. I love the way that they did it. I thought it was really emotional. The actors were brilliant. I love the way it used different genres for all the stories. I felt like it started to kind of, because there's no payoff, it has an anticlimactic ending, which is a shame, because everything else that comes before it is so punchy and so clever. So they kind of slightly missed the landing, I think.
I think that sums up. Yeah,
it was great fun.
Yeah. How about you, Emma, overall?
Yeah, I agree with what Josh just said. I think it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it the whole way through. Obviously, some aspects I enjoyed more than others, but there's something for everyone in there. I think there's something for every taste in there. So I think that's why it'll have such a broad appeal. I did think that they missed the landing, like Josh said, because the landing would have been Elanka and Kevin finally getting together, and that was a missed opportunity. So that setup and payoff didn't happen. I think if they'd have done that, it would have been 10 out of 10 from me.
Yeah, definitely for me. I liked it overall, and as I say, I think when Anya went, it kind of lost a little something, and the last episode I wasn't keen on. But yeah, overall, I really loved it. And I hope that we do get a series 2. Apparently, if they don't commission a series 2, Mike Flanagan's going to tweet out what he was going to do with the characters anyway. So,
win-win.
One way or another, we'll find out.
We'll know.
But what I really, really do hope is
that
they
shot it
obviously
a year ago. It's already been a year since they finished filming.
Yeah.
September
2021.
21.
That's
mad. So if they haven't even started season 2 yet.
Yeah, but fingers crossed, maybe we'll get a series 2. And obviously we've had like Fear Street, and obviously now we've had Midnight Club. So I'm hoping it opens up the way. Now the 90s, as we discussed, is historical fiction. Apparently.
People are dressing like us for Halloween.
But I'm hoping it paves the way for more adaptations of books we read in the 90s. I really would love a point horror one, not necessarily an R.L. Stein based point horror adaptations. I'd like some Richie, Ritchie Cousy. Trick or Treat would be perfect for the screen, and Fatal Secrets. But I hope it just paves the way to them like exploring some other options of what what we was reading in the 90s and bringing it to a new audience as well.
And I hope it's really cheesy.
Fingers crossed.
That would be great.
Yeah. I'd love like a really, really cheesy
90s point horror.
Definitely. It was so
I haven't
good,
shown you my
wouldn't it?
T-shirt yet.
Show us. Oh, very nice.
Oh, I love it.
Suddenly realised I was wearing it.
Oh, okay. I think, where did you get that from? Is it Etsy?
It's on Tinternet.
On the Tinternet. Oh dear. And Eddie May's put, I wanted to see Anya giving signs more, so maybe that might be in series 2, because I don't think they could do a series 2 without putting Anya in it somewhere, because she's just such a good character.
They'll definitely bring her back. They will.
Well, she's going to be in she's in Mike Flanagan's next show as well, isn't she? So I'll definitely watch that.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm smelling a Molly Ringwald here.
Oh. Mike Flanagan, I mean, I haven't watched that much Mike Flanagan, but I am going to now because I really like this. But he does use a lot of the same actors and actresses, doesn't he?
That's cool.
He's very loyal. Very, very, yeah, of course, yeah. He's very loyal to like his cast members, isn't he? And he puts them in his other shows and stuff. So
do a good job. You get to come back.
Yes, and Anya did do Ruth. Is it Ruth Codd? Her name?
Yeah.
She did a brilliant job, and the guy who played
MVP.
Kevin. In fact, just all of them. I can't pick just one. They were all really good.
Yeah.
They were great.
Yeah. And Eddie May's put about to read Trick or Treat this afternoon.
Oh, enjoy.
Yeah, I like
very
that
Halloween.
We love that one.
It's perfect for Halloween. So we covered that for Point Hard Book Club last Halloween, and when Kat dressed up as the Red Devil and I was like in that orange pumpkin. And if you watch the chat back, I get oranger and oranger as the chat goes on.
Brilliant.
It's just getting like brighter. And by the time I finished, I was like glowing. It was so weird. But anyway, thank you guys. I've loved chatting like these past 3 weeks about Midnight Club and 90s and stuff, and I always love chatting to you. So thank you so much. And thanks,
Shelley.
Yeah, we've got our chat next week. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Focus 2. Can't wait for that. But yeah, thanks guys, and thanks to everyone who's joined in and put comments up, and Karen with her fun facts that she always gives.
Scary Karen.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't piranhas.
Yeah.
Thanks guys.
Thank you.
See you next week.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.